What's up everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of my State of Xbox series. This time, we're looking at Double Fine Productions, a studio whose games are tailor-made for Xbox's Gamepass-focused ecosystem, and had it not been for acquisition, may not even be around anymore. Let's see if they have the talent to return the favour with great exclusive content.
It wouldn't be the first time the Psychonauts underestimated Maligula's power.
Fire! Leave it to me.
Double Fine is a San Francisco-based developer created by Tim Schafer. Prior to this, Schafer was at LucasArts. However, after shipping adventure game Grim Fandango to critical acclaim or commercial disappointment, Schafer became unsure of his position there. He and some of his colleagues then decided to quit, as they foresaw LucasArts continuing to shift away from adventure games as part of the general trend in the industry. Double Fine would start up a few months later in 2000, but it wouldn't be until 2005 before they released their first game, Psychonauts. As development began during the dot-com boom, the cost of San Francisco office space was very expensive, which forced Double Fine to work out of a cheap warehouse that was not conducive to an efficient development environment. They secured an actual office in 2003, but the move only further delayed development. Psychonauts was also initially going to be published by Microsoft and exclusively released for the Xbox. However, once Ed Fries, who signed the deal on Microsoft's behalf, left in 2004, Microsoft cancelled the publishing deal. Double Fine then had to spend time courting a new publisher, which eventually led to Majesco Entertainment. But this came with the addition of a Windows version they had to develop, as well as a PS2 version that would be done by an external developer, but still further stretched Double Fine resources who would have to oversee the project. It's therefore no surprise Psychonauts took so many years, even with what executive producer Caroline S. Murdoch describes as the most insane crunch I've ever witnessed. Fortunately, these setbacks didn't affect the game's quality, as it received an 88 on Metacritic, but only sold around 400,000 copies, resulting in a severe financial loss for all parties.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious. Special delivery today. I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Boyd? Are you okay?
Time for the final delivery to this address.
Hey, is that milk regular kind? Or the exploding dream kind?
It's fortified with what the world wants. What the world deserves.
Double Fine's next game was 2009's Brutal Legend, an action-adventure, real-time strategy hybrid that was published by EA, though this wasn't always the case. Originally, Brutal Legend was going to be published by Vivendi Games. However, during development, Vivendi merged with Activision, who subsequently dropped the game from its portfolio. To make matters worse, Activision didn't even tell Double Fine, who found out from an official press release that omitted the game from Activision's release schedule. Brutal Legend eventually released to an 82 on Metacritic, with the reviewers praising its story and characters, while slating the RTS segments which were not properly advertised during the lead up to release. Unfortunately, the game also sold only a few 100,000 copies, making it a commercial failure. This caused EA to cancel the upcoming sequel, which Schafer believed had already been greenlit, and so had already invested a significant amount on the sequel they planned on being 3 times larger in scope. This sudden cancellation nearly ruined Double Fine, though in hindsight, was a blessing in disguise considering what happens next.
Got a lot of competition though. It's a big, busy season for
What are you talking about? Competition?
A
Who?
few big games, like Assassin's Creed 2 is coming out.
What?
You get to dress up like a bird and climb on buildings.
Dress up like a bird? Who wants to do that? Dude, what about in Brutal Legend when Eddie Riggs sprouts demon wings and flies across the landscape?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty cooler.
yeah.
Modern Warfare 2 is coming out too. And you pre-order that game, you get these night vision goggles.
Oh, wow. What about when you pre-order Brutal Legend and you get an official Tenacious D guitar avatar? Huh?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is a little
I
cooler.
should say so.
Yeah. Well, then there's also Uncharted 2, Drake's Fortune. You know, he has a half tuck.
What?
In the sequel, it's now like a 5/8 tuck. It's even more tuck.
Wait a second. Uncharted Poo? Who the cares about that game?
Due to the numerous publishing issues surrounding Brutal Legend's development, Schafer attempted to boost company morale by engaging staff in what he termed the Amnesia Fortnight. For 2 weeks, employees were split into 4 groups, told to forget their current work on Brutal Legend and develop a game prototype for review. This meant that fortunately, Double Fine had numerous projects to quickly pivot to after Brutal Legend 2's sudden cancellation, and actually led to their next 4 games. The first to release was 2010's Costume Quest that was published by THQ. Unlike Double Fine's previous games, which had 4 to 5 year development cycles, Costume Quest 2 was completed in under a year and for only $2 million. This shortened schedule was beneficial as it limited the scope of the game and prevented feature creep. In the end, Costume Quest released to a 74 on Metacritic, with praise for the game's uniqueness and charm, but criticized for its simple gameplay. The next Amnesia Fortnight game was Stacking, a puzzle game inspired by Russian stacking dolls that released in February 2011. Again, THQ provided a budget of $2 million, but Stacking reviewed much better with an 84 on Metacritic, where the use of multiple solutions to solve varied challenges was praised. The third game was Iron Brigade, which released just a few months after Stacking. However, this time, Microsoft would serve as the publisher. This hybrid tower defense / third-person shooter received an 82 on Metacritic for its writing and fun, replayable gameplay. The final Amnesia Fortnight game to be produced was Sesame Street: Once Upon a Monster, which was published by Warner Bros. And released in October 2011. This was Double Fine's first game to use the Kinect, as well as their first licensed game. It received a respectable 79 on Metacritic for succeeding in its goal to be educational for kids, but still engaging enough for parents. Post-Amnesia Fortnight, Double Fine produced more than 5 titles over the next 2 years. This included more Kinect games like Happy Action Theatre, where Schafer wanted very simple gameplay so his young daughter could play it without help, and The Cave, a 2013 2D game created by former LucasArts colleague Ron Gilbert, where a cave lures people in to explore their darker personality traits. However, it's 2014's Broken Age that would be the game Double Fine is remembered for during this era.
Starting with some sad news, I think that email went out that one of our coworkers is leaving. My old friend Ron Gilbert is going to be leaving Double Fine and pursuing his... Let's have a big round of boos for Ron Gilbert. Boo! Yeah. We don't handle goodbyes well, Ron, here. To pursue his lifelong dream of not working at Double Fine. So, Ron will be leaving pretty soon, like today. He doesn't like long, drawn-out emotional goodbyes, so he wanted to just leave and not to linger on. But yeah, do you have a long speech that you'd like to make at this point?
I don't. Okay. I don't.
And with those words...
Broken Age is a point-and-click adventure game that marks Schafer's return to the genre since 1998's Grim Fandango. It was also Double Fine's first game to be crowdfunded through Kickstarter. This idea came after Schafer was interviewed for 2Player Productions' Minecraft documentary that was also funded through Kickstarter, and the two agreed to collaborate on documenting the development of a new game. They began working on the specifics of the project, but Schafer realized publisher interference would make an honest portrayal of game development impossible. And with Double Fine lacking the resources to self-publish, Kickstarter was the only avenue. Double Fine set the goal for the project at $400,000, with $100,000 for film production and $300,000 for the game. Although this was the largest goal of any gaming project on Kickstarter, it was the lowest budget Schafer had worked with. Fortunately, lack of money was never a problem, as within 9 hours, Broken Age exceeded the $400,000 goal, and by the end, received more than $3.3 million from over 87,000 backers. It received an 82 on Metacritic, with Act 1 releasing in 2014 for PC, followed by Act 2 as a full package in 2015, along with the PS4 version. The success of Broken Age also convinced similar studios to fund their games through Kickstarter, like InXile's Wasteland 2, which achieved similar success.
Sorry, I didn't see you there. You caught me indulging in one of my many impressive hobbies. I'm Tim Schafer, and I'm a man of many passions. Drumming, skydiving, like charity or something. But one of the things I'm most passionate about is making games. People come up to me all the time, and they say,
"You should make a point-and-click graphic adventure."
You know, I would, except...
Adventure games are not dead!
Okay, I'm on your side, but if I were to go to a publisher right now and pitch an adventure game, they'd laugh in my face.
But I have money, and I'd buy a copy.
Well, that's nice, but unfortunately, not enough money to make a game.
But there's a ton of people out there that are just like me. They'd buy one too.
I wonder if that's true.
Dude, it's totally true. There's so many people
Not talking
who
to
buy
you.
it.
What if there are a lot of adventure game fans out there who want an adventure game? I wonder if there's some way that I could talk to them directly. Cut out publishers altogether.
Post Broken Age, Double Fine continued to release multiple games every year, including other Kickstarter-funded projects like 2015's Massive Chalice and 2014's Costume Quest 2. They also acquired the rights to several of Schafer's LucasArts-era games, like Grim Fandango and Full Throttle. Surprisingly, this was actually achieved with the help of Sony, which is why these remasters were PlayStation exclusive for a period. Double Fine also secured the publishing rights to Psychonauts back in 2011, where due to positive word of mouth, had sold 1.7 million copies by 2015. It's therefore no surprise that a sequel would become the priority.
I want to tell you about a boy.
Ooh, is it me?
Please save your questions to the end, Rasputin.
Okay.
He was a uniquely talented acrobat, but also a gifted psychic.
Don't forget my canoeing badge.
He was a big pain in the neck. But somebody messed up and let him into the Psychonauts.
That was you, Agent Cruller.
This 10-year-old circus runaway was somehow allowed to join an international group of psychic super spies. And now he's headed to our main headquarters, right into the Mother Lobe.
Man, you guys really like puns.
Psychonauts 2 was announced in 2015, along with the FIG crowdfunding campaign for a third of the development budget, which totaled around 3.3 million. The rest would come from Starbreeze Studios, who would fund distribution, but let Double Fine retain control of the IP and the development process. Additionally, just days after Psychonauts 2's announcement, Double Fine also announced Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, a VR experience that bridges the story between the 2005 game and upcoming sequel. Released in 2017 for all VR platforms and received a 71 on Metacritic. Double Fine originally planned on releasing the sequel just a year later, but were only able to premiere the first full trailer at the 2018 Game Awards. Then came the bombshell. Xbox announced that they had acquired Double Fine at the 2019 E3 conference and that they had purchased the publishing rights from Starbreeze for $13.2 million, which is around $5 million more than Starbreeze were going to invest. Microsoft also paid back FIG crowdfunders much earlier at a 139% return. It's due to this crowdfunder though that meant Psychonauts 2 would remain multi-platform. Psychonauts 2 eventually released 3 years later than anticipated in 2021, but it was for all the right reasons. Due to Microsoft's infinite budget, Double Fine could develop the boss fights that they wanted to make, but would have been cut if not for acquisition due to financial constraints. Additionally, the Microsoft budget allowed Double Fine to create excellent Series S and X versions, and could do all this extra work without crunch, as the game didn't need to come out by a certain time just so San Francisco bills could be paid. These ideal conditions led to an 87 on Metacritic, as well as a Game of the Year nomination, with critics calling Psychonauts 2 a worthy sequel due to the story, characters, humor, and examination of mental health issues with finesse.
The original Psychonauts was shipped on April 19th, 2005, and it won Eurogamer's Game of the Year. And when G4 TV listed the best Xbox games of that generation, Psychonauts was their number 6. It sold a couple 100,000 copies, went out of print, and then faded off into the sunset forever. Or so it seems. In 2011, we got the rights to the game back. We updated it, republished it, and in the last 5 years, it's actually sold double what it did in the first 5 years. So instead of fading away, the power of Psychonauts has only grown.
It's pretty clear that even with Microsoft only being involved with around half of Psychonauts 2's development, they were nothing but a positive influence, and absolutely deserve credit for breaking down any barrier for Double Fine to make the best game they could. Schafer has even echoed these sentiments himself, stating that Microsoft had limited integration, with Double Fine retaining all control on the creative elements, while leaving the financial issues up to Microsoft to manage. Unfortunately, this ideal relationship will continue with all future Double Fine games, whose unique experiences make a perfect fit for Game Pass. Schafer himself acknowledges his games have an aesthetic that people wouldn't pay full price for, but the low barrier of entry for Game Pass makes it the perfect marketplace for people to at least try these new experiences. Thus, Schafer felt that Microsoft's acquisition allows the studio to continue to develop experimental games and allow these projects more exposure than possible before. The whole company won't even have to worry about struggling to find a publisher for their next unique game as well, which has plagued the developer for its whole history. Overall, Double Fine might be the developer to benefit the most from Xbox acquisition. It makes an excellent example how Microsoft's hands-off approach can result in amazing games, providing the developer has competent leadership. And even though we have no new details on the next game, we know that multiple projects are being worked on, and that none of them are sequels, something highly unlikely to be the case if Double Fine was still independent. And with Psychonauts clearly hitting a new level of quality due to Microsoft, I am supremely confident that these games will be even better with Xbox integration from the beginning. Hopefully Double Fine can hit the Amnesia Fortnight cadence again, and we're not waiting too long for their next unique masterpiece.